Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we would cover Morley Minto reforms. What is it actually? It is a topic that came in section 2 after All India Muslim League, which we have covered in the previous video, and today we will cover it. First of all, what no must know the meaning of reforms. Reforms means a group of laws, and Morley Minto, Morley means general secretary at that time. Minto was the viceroy, okay, Lord Minto and Lord Morley, and it is the first official reform in our section 2. Section 2. Why? What was the reason between to create these reforms? First of all, to resolve communal tensions between Hindus and Muslims, because after the partition of Bengal, a lot of strikes, a lot of rallies, a lot of protests were there. So to resolve tensions between both of them, it was created. Then there was the British policy of 10 years policy, okay, constitution policy. In that, after every 10 year, a new constitution, a new group of laws, a new reform would be implemented. Third, the council size will be increased. The council size would be increased by adding Indian members, okay, by adding Indian members. Now, Morley Mentor reforms, also known as Indian Council Act 1919. It was implemented in the year of 1919. It is also known as Indian Council Act 1919, or you can also say them Indian Council Act. Okay, and it was a reforms. Okay, it was a reforms. With that, what does the reform state? First thing, the Imperial Council. The Imperial Council means central government. The central government size would be now 60 members, because now they were adding Indian members. Okay, now the central government, which was at that time known as Imperial Council, size would be now increased to 60 members, because they were adding Indians. Now, second, the provincial council, the council, a group of legislative officers that control the province matters, is known as provincial council. Okay, this area, the group that they discuss things, is known as provincial council. Their size was also increased. For large provinces and small province. For large province, it was 50 members, and for small province, it was 30. Okay. Next of all, it was one more thing. The members in both provincial council and imperial council, they were Indians, were the member, but they can only discuss. Only discuss. Okay. They can one more. They can only discuss. They can't implement. There were separate electors. Separate electors. I told you guys what is separate and joint electors in the previous video. And women were not allowed to vote. Women were not allowed to vote. Okay. With that, these reforms, it was accepted by AIML, means Muslims, and rejected by Congress. Okay, it was accepted by All India Muslim League and it was rejected by Congress. Okay, why did monumental reforms were opposed? Why by Congress? What was the reason behind it? Okay, monumental reforms opposed by Congress. Why? Why is that? why did Congress, yeah, you can say Hindus, opposed Morley Minto reforms? What was the reason behind it, right? Okay. First of all, reason was that Congress wanted self rule. They wanted Swaraj, which means self rule. Swaraj. Okay, they wanted Swaraj or self rule, and Morley Minto reforms were not giving self rule, but it was for giving advice. Okay, the Morley Minto reforms were based totally on giving advice, not on ruling. So that's why Hindus opposed Morley Minto reforms. The second reason. Okay, sorry guys. The second reason. Wait a minute. Okay, my pen is not working. So no issue. I'm just telling you guys orally, or I'm just writing. Okay, I'm just writing. Other than it, Hindus wanted joint electors. Okay, what they wanted, joint electors, and they got separate electors. That's why Hindus were annoyed, because they were giving a lot of concessions. They were making Muslims too free. They were giving a lot of concessions to Muslims. That's why Hindus opposed monumental reforms. Okay, second of all, third, sorry, third was that if separate electors, if there were separate electors, Muslims would win in elections. Okay, if because in parliamentary reforms they have said that they will implement separate electors. So if there were separate electors, so Muslims would win, because Muslims already had minority seats. Okay, and Hindus can't accept that, because they can't see Muslims prospering. But that's why they opposed parliamentary reforms, and also they wanted to reverse partition of Bengal. Okay, and also they wanted to reverse partition of Bengal. And one more thing, I made a mistake. Okay, it is not 1919, it is 1909. It is 1909. Okay, Morley Minto reforms were done in 1909, and that's why they wanted to reverse partition of Bengal in 1909. And as the partition of Bengal was reversed in 1911, so to demand to pressurize British, they opposed parliamentary reforms. Remember that Indian Congress Act 1909. It is parliamentary reforms 1909, not 1919. Thank you for watching this video.